You know, in the current year, something has been creeping up in my mind about what's been going on with the medium of video games, not only as entertainment, but also as a multi-billion-dollar industry. In the year 2026, we are far beyond and away what I would consider to be the boomer eras of the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s, where the entire mantra about what video games were are completely just gone from what we have right now. Gaming is no longer relegated to the entire idea of it being a demonic thing to have, or the fact that it was going to rot your child's brain. We've got TikTok for that now. Don't worry, it's still covered. But what really bothers me the most is that even in today's day and age, we still have people perpetuating those exact same beliefs, those exact same ideas, and the same things that people said to other gamers back in the early days of calling us losers or virgins or unable to kiss a girl all the time, even though those exact same people are the biggest hypocrites you've absolutely ever seen. And all of this started not because of just gaming itself. All this happened because of a game that came out recently called Pragmata, which honestly, this game has exposed the biggest thing I've noticed recently is that way too many people are terminally online, and it's actually kind of scary. We've seen everything across the board with this, calling people even if they want to just enjoy the game, saying that it's impossible for a man to want to have a family in the first place, let alone protect a child at all, even though genetically we are in fact hardwired to protect children at all costs. And if you don't think people are in fact doing that, well, take a look at this. With Juniper Femme saying, funny how y'all only have, quote, paternal instincts for a child with a model woman's face plastered on it. Make her look like an actual kid with missing teeth, short hair, bare face, snot, and see if those, quote, instincts kick in the same. This game openly caters. The gaslighting is over. Here's FaceTime saying it's kinda evil how Marathon gets called a flop for doing these numbers, but Pragmata doesn't because right-wingers want to the robot child. Now look, those are just two small examples I was able to pull up with my limited research for this video, but I want to say this, every accusation is usually an admission. But I think we are on the actual precipice of an insane thing happening online, especially with talking about video games. And clearly people are trying to inject their own perceptions and realities onto fake fictional characters that literally don't exist. These are not real people. They're not actual things that you can hold tangibly in your hands. These are literally characters in a video game that are used to tell a story. And so many games nowadays are using the father-daughter, father-son trope to tell an emotionally hooking story. And nobody had any complaints when every other game did it. But Pragmata does it, and now it's an actual problem. Not even realizing the fact that Diana in the game is an actual android, and she's supposed to look uncanny because she's an android. That's the entire idea of the uncanny valley. Things looking far too realistic so that it's almost in fact unsettling. Now, I'm going to be real about this. There are, in fact, incredibly gross people online, and there are people who are trying to do things with this character in a fake fictional setting and are trying to put this character in situations that clearly should not be there. And yes, Capcom has even gotten specific Twitter accounts banned for this kind of thing too. So clearly, those people do exist. The problem is that Capcom did not design this game for those people, and throwing a blanket term across the entire internet or the entire gaming culture because they want to go ahead and play a video game that has these characters like Pragmata, that is doing something new and different, that applies this kind of storyline, is not the way to do things overall. And it goes right back to the original topic I was talking about concerning how people look at gamers in the first place. It's actually pretty disturbing when you think about it, honestly. Sitting around and casting judgment on just an entire group of people because it makes you feel uncomfortable in some really weird way because you cannot control your own personal emotions. You're going to place them onto other people as if it's their responsibility to handle your insanity. No, that's not how this works around here, honey. Time to go outside and actually touch some grass. I mean, just look at this tweet right here to explain my entire argument. Mello on Twitter said, not to be negative, but noticing how a lot of men love Diana, but the same kind of men hate Atreus from God of War 2018. I've seen so many comments from men calling him annoying. I'm just wondering why he didn't trigger their paternal instincts like the little blonde girl. I find it honestly hilarious that in their own tweet, the first thing that they did was describe exactly why nobody liked Atreus. He in fact was written to be annoying, not someone that you want to protect, but someone who's part of a family that has been some of the most savage killers on the entire actual earth that they were on in their storyline. Literally, the son of the god of war. Yeah, he's going to be a little bit of a jerk if you ask me, and clearly the paternal instinct is not going to be that great either, because even his own dad in the video game was having a tough time with him as well. Diana, though, is separate. She's alone. There's no one there. And the entire idea is to protect her from what's going on, because clearly not only is she younger than what Atreus looks like, she's also a complete AI and has no one there to protect her in any sense of the word. But I think it's hilarious that even at the end of this tweet, Mello decides to go ahead and insinuate that the only reason men wanted to go ahead and take care of Diana was because that's practically what he's saying right here, literally by the entire description. But it's even funnier when Mello gets a response. Kevin Bulk on Twitter screenshot Mello's tweet saying this: completely different characters. One is a bratty, realistic boy. The other a purposefully endearing child designed to trigger protective feelings. I don't know why y'all are on this weirdo crusade to read perversion into perfectly normal affection for her, but stop. Mello even tweeted this themselves. Deleted my Pragmata post because I hate drama. I didn't intend for it to blow up overnight. I've been called fatherless and multiple homophobic slurs over a tweet simply making a comparison. So I will never post about Pragmata again. Not gonna lie. Crying emoji. I'm gonna go back to Ari posting. Literally being the victim when he was the one who was the antagonist the entire time. I got called all these horrible things because I called other men in games a bunch of horrible things as well. Even though I didn't outright directly say it, I definitely insinuated it with my tweets. I'm going to go ahead and delete that and cover up all the evidence. That way nobody knows. Well, my friend, the internet is forever and you have 100% reaped what you have sown. Here's Brandon Varnell on Twitter saying this: men get so little genuine affection and empathy that a fictional girl makes them want to have kids because she gives them a glimpse of the kind of love and purpose fatherhood could bring, but you aren't ready for that conversation. And that's really the most disturbing thing that I've seen so far, is that people truly not understanding why men even want to have families in the first place. And on top of that, how men even perceive families and children as well. This is nothing more than a complete massive misunderstanding. Also a blanket generalization on basically half the population of the entire planet, simply because these people are not able to wrestle with the thought process or the idea that a video game character who is an android and is of course not real actually has people wanting to like her and protect her by simply playing the video game. And it goes back again to what I talked about before, all these massive blanket generalizations, whether or not it's because they're a guy or whether or not it's because they like video games or a specific kind of character. These kinds of things happen all the time. And what's even worse is it's also happening in a massive gaming space and being perpetuated by other people, and their hypocrisy gets even worse. The Gamer wrote an article and a tweet saying this: gaming cannot allow Pragmata's Diana fan club to flourish. And then to make things even better, it turns out that the actual tweet got community noted saying this: the author of the article hasn't even played the game, per the article. Now that article was written by Stacy Henley, who is the editor-in-chief of the gamer. However, though, Stacy admitting she's never played Pragmata and chooses not to play while also trying to criticize anyone about the game, Diana themselves, or even anyone enjoying the game is truly insane. So yeah, watching something like The Gamer make an article literally of someone who has never played the game, does not understand why people like Diana as a character, and are also trying to pin some sort of weird fetishistic thing on top of a video game character while not understanding anything about the story, plot, or even the player in the first place truly is one of the most insane things I've seen. And if you want to talk about even greater hypocrisy, there's no one better than Hassan Piker. That's right, because Hassan was actually caught in 4K talking about Pragmata, and here's what he had to say about gamers.
What's really interesting about this is all of these unfuckable losers in the gaming sphere always talk about like starting families and stuff. And I don't understand like why this has become a thing that they care about. Like, if you're a gamer, you should care about things that you actually experience. You should care about things that you actually enjoy, right? If you're a fucking lonely gamer who has never been around a woman and will never have sex with a woman, why do you care? Like, why do you care about having children or like riding for having children? Like, if they changed hot Cheetos, if they changed the recipe of hot Cheetos, if they changed the recipe of like, I don't know, Dr. Pepper or something, and you fucking freaked out about that, that makes sense, right? Like, that's precisely what your life is about. But as far as like LARPing about starting families and whatnot, this is something that I never understand. It just doesn't make any sense to me, because it's just not something that you're going to experience ever for your life, for the rest of your life, right?
I really don't understand why anybody actually listens to this guy at all, ever, in the first place. I'm not even talking about politics. I'm talking about just the idea of what he says continuously, literally labeling an entire group of people who have nothing to do with what he's saying or the kind of content he wants to make, and turning around and saying, oh, well, if you're a gamer, you never have to worry about a family ever again. Stop LARPing. Why would you ever want to do something like that in your life at all? Totally waste of time. Just talk about hot Cheetos and Dr. Perky, and that's your entire life right there. Not even trying to realize that the fact that Hassan, literally the next day in his own live stream, is playing Pragmata. Brother, literally, every accusation is an actual admission to these people. Every single time. And it really goes to show how people are so completely disconnected inside of gaming culture, and why people actually see Diana as a character that they would actually enjoy. From The Gamer writing the most horrible article you've ever actually seen, talking about Diana and then saying they've never played the game, so they have no idea what the character even does. And maybe they'll feel the exact same way when they finally do play the game. Or Hassan Piker going around and saying the stupidest thing possible and literally throwing a blanket statement over an entire people who just want to enjoy a video game as a hobby, and then every other idiot on Twitter trying to actually sit there and literally call people who like a video game because they like a character in a video game. We are back in the 90s, ladies and gentlemen. We are back in the era where people do not understand why people enjoy video games in the first place or at all. Here's Daikazoku on Twitter saying this: any gamer who wants to start a family is just LARPing, is the most insanely out of touch shit I've ever heard. He just takes anyone who plays any video game and puts them in the same category as that WoW caricature from South Park. How is he so fundamentally broken as a human? And I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. I feel like I'm no longer in 2026. I feel like what we're watching right now are people literally going around and trying to police the kind of content that you can play and everything else in between. If it doesn't fit in their narrow definition of what they consider to be appropriate, then they have every right to call you every single word under the book and even some of the most hard things you can possibly imagine. What Pragmata did was far beyond more than just putting out a great game that people are enjoying. What Pragmata did instead was expose the insane double standards, the insane hypocrisy, and the ridiculous ability of people to be terminally online 24/7, thinking about the absolute worst things that any human being can do, and then placing that label onto every other person who just wants to enjoy the medium of video games. Again, every accusation is almost always an admission. Not only am I actually angry, but I'm also incredibly disappointed, because what we're seeing here is exactly what I would consider to be fatherless behavior. But I want to know what you guys got to say about this in the comments section down below. Are you playing Pragmata? Are you enjoying it? Do you agree or do you disagree with what we talked about in the video? I want to hear what you got to say. If you want to see more of this kind of content, though, subscribe. New videos are out every single Monday. Thank you so much for watching, y'all. Hope you have a great one, and I'll see you guys next time.